Welcome in, along with Bruce Gradkowski. I'm Steve Palazzolo, and this is your NFL draft profile on Drew Lock, the Missouri quarterback, getting plenty of first-round hype. He certainly looks the part, has the arm, much like the other quartps. Some concerns about his game as well. So what have you seen from Drew Lock on film?
I mean, you said it. He's got the arm. The dude has a quick release, flicks it out of his hands, powerful arm. The thing I like, he's a basketball player, or was, and he's talented. Sometimes I feel like that helps when you're playing the game as a quarterback on the field. Helps your vision, helps your athleticism. So I like that he brings that. He's big, physical, looks the part. Some of his footwork though bugs me. You know, I'm a stickler for footwork, so that's one trait I'm not happy with.
Look, I wrote a whole article on Drew Lock comparing him to Jay Cutler, and I like when
it's a good comparison.
Comparisons aren't clean across the board all the time, but I was like, all right, let me go back and watch some Jay Cutler in college. And I'm watching throw for throw where they kind of matched up. Late to the flat on this one pass, and then before you know it, dropping one in that's great. Overthrow and an easy miss. And I just saw a lot of comparisons. And the footwork is one of the things that certainly stood out to me. And in my notes, I'm like, man, why is he throwing off balance? You know, because he'll have the wow NFL throws where he's fading away and he'll flick one up and it's like, whoa, pretty impressive throw. But why do you have poor footwork in a clean pocket and then you miss an easy one? Can that be corrected at the next level?
Well, and I just don't think he had the coaching, though. I don't think he was prepared as far as footwork's concerned and throwing the football. So I do think it can be corrected a little bit at the next level if he buys into it and he starts to understand timing and footwork, hitching up in the pocket. The one thing you pointed out, anytime you back out in the pocket, that's catastrophe right there. That's strip, sack, fumbles, picks going the other way. So that's what I could have some concerns. The other thing I was thinking about too, though, against tougher opponents, I see him inconsistent with his release, his delivery. He drops his elbow at times, and I feel like that's when some of his inaccuracies occurred.
Yeah, look, we quantify things here at PFF, and those are the types of things when you have a big sample size of inaccurate passes, that feels like it's tough to fix. Even if you have specific things that you can't fix, like, hey, if we just clean up his footwork, he'll be fine. I think that's a big if at the next level. The one thing that I do like is he has improved every year. He started since a true freshman. His PFF grade's gone from 43 to 67 to 81 to almost 89 his last year. But I still think there's a lot, left to improve. Is he one of the guys that maybe is better off potentially sitting on the bench? You take a shot on him. Maybe don't make him the guy right away, and hopefully you can iron out some of these things.
Well, I absolutely agree with you on that. He's going to benefit more if he could go somewhere like the LA Chargers, sit behind Phillip Rivers, learn from a true professional how it's done. That will benefit Lock. So he has a year or two to develop, to improve the accuracy, the consistent delivery. So, the footwork and all those things tie together to hopefully improve the accuracy. But you made a good point, too, about his experience. He played in a lot of games in college football. So I think with all that, it can help him at the next level.
Yeah, and one of the things about all of the football that he has played, though, a big chunk of his career has been in the old Baylor system, which was literally no reads at all. I'm going to go to this side of the field. It's man coverage. I'm chucking it up deep. They threw about 4 routes. That was the majority of his early career. Now, this last year, they had Derek Dooley come in, offensive coordinator, and he started to go through his reads a little bit more. He did seem like he got more comfortable as the year went on. His bowl game against Oklahoma State was fantastic. I just feel like the progression is there, but maybe not enough right now to say, okay, this is my franchise guy.
Well, and it takes time. It takes time to develop that, because when you're in one system and you have the flexibility and freedom to pick one side or the other or go back and forth and not have structure as far as footwork is concerned, it takes a few years to develop that footwork. Look, I used to grind on my footwork every day because I wanted it to become second nature. And it did over time, because the last thing you want to do as a quarterback is break the huddle, get to the line of scrimmage, and have to think, wait, what's my footwork on this? No, you're worrying about the play. Did people line up correctly? What are the safeties doing, the linebackers? Who's the mic? Where's the blitz coming from? What's my progression? So the less you can worry about, and the more it just becomes natural. That's why I agree that a lot of these guys, these quarterbacks we talk about, they need a year or two to develop.
Now, a lot of people, when I mentioned the comparison to Jay Cutler and said, oh, bad footwork, they said, well, Patrick Mahomes just came into the league and he had the same knock on him. And my rebuttal to that essentially was, look, we've got data on Patrick Mahomes, and his last year, he was only 10th at avoiding 10th best in the nation at avoiding negatively graded throws. In other words, he was pretty much on target. So despite the footwork, he was throwing the ball accurately, and at some point, how often you do it trumps the trait. You know, that's the most important thing. Drew Lock, if you look at his ranks in negatively graded throws, 47th last year, 49th in 2017, in his first 2 years in the 120s. So a big difference from, you know, Drew Lock and Patrick Mahomes. I've seen those comparisons out there. I'm just not ready to buy that. I'm not ready to compare anybody to Patrick Mahomes at this point. You know, there's a few prospects that are rare, and Mahomes is kind of in that range now.
And I don't know if you agree with this or not. I agree with you with the Jay Cutler, and I said Lock is kind of like in between a Wentz and a Cutler. Just something about him in his pocket. Of course, Wentz is way more polished athletically and a thrower than Lock, but there's something about the way he stands in the pocket. Lock reminds me of Wentz, but I think it more leans towards Cutler. The video you and I watched, I mean, Cutler's footwork was way better than Lock.
It was, yeah.
And now we're talking about this guy being a top pick. So a lot of things he can improve on. I said ideally, no, I'd like to see him sit in 2019. But as far as the long time's concerned, I mean, if it's a place he gets drafted, he could sit behind a franchise quarterback and learn from him for a year or two. It could only benefit him.
So there you have it. It's your Drew Lock NFL draft profile. Best to have him sit and develop. It's all been powered by PFF Edge and Elite.